welcome to Grandma's How-Tos again. Today we're going to do a few of the sewing projects that we were talking about before. I showed them to you, but I never showed you how to do them. This is that apron that is really easy to make, and it's a nice gift for somebody, and it's a good way to use up all your smaller scraps. This is the pattern for it. Basically, you cut 123 and 23 inches square, and that's the blue one I cut. Or actually, that's the checkered one I cut. And then the bigger one is 24 3/4. That's the blue. It doesn't matter what colors or whatever. The reason one is smaller is because you cut a band that is 3 inches wide, and or it's actually 2.5 inches wide by 26. You cut 2 of them, and then you just sew one here, one here. You sew that onto the smaller one. Okay, so you can pick any colors you want. This is a good way to use it up. Okay, so now I sewed the band on here and here on the smaller one, and this one's the 24 3/4 inch one. Okay, so now I want to have a tie for around my neck. So the first thing I do here, the neckband is about 23 to 25 inches, 3 inches wide. So I just cut that and sew a seam down there. Okay, now to get it inside right, because I don't want that seam to show, you just put a little safety pin in there, and then you turn it in, and you turn it inside out like that. There's also a little thing called a bodkin you can use, but if you inch your way like this, you pull it until it's all turned inside right. And then I iron it flat. This happens to be the neckband for my apron. Okay, so now the next thing I do is sew these two together. I want them inside out, because then when I turn them inside right again, then they are all together. Okay, one thing I'm going to do is stick this in here, so when actually this will be in here. This is about where it goes. And you can kind of check it out. You can hold it up to yourself. So now I'm going to put this in here so I don't see the now when I sew across here, about 5/8 of an inch, go all the way over the top of that neckband, and then here's the other neckband, go all the way, and then leave an opening about this big, so you can turn it all inside right. So when you turn it inside right, now this will be not showing, it'll be inside of the fabric. You can do the same thing with the waistbands. Okay, now what I like to do is put this on and then around my neck and see where I like to put the waistband. But if you put it about halfway down, that's fine. So you turn these inside right, and you can also do the same things with the waistband. It doesn't matter though. And so here's going to be your waistband. Okay, then this is how you finish it off. Once you get it all sewed together, see how the blue shows now? And you can sew like a button here. And then I had a little of this cow fabric left, so I took some of the cow fabric and some of the blue, and I left a little opening, and now I turn it inside right until it looks like this. And so now I'm going to have a little blue. I want 2 pockets because I always carry the cell phone and stuff like that, and so I'll have 2 pockets. And you kind of just figure out where you want them. Okay, so I think that's about it for the apron, and that's what it kind of looks like, the finished product. It's really nice because it's thick, and that's pretty much how you put it together. Okay, that's a very nice, easy, simple project, and it's a nice little gift. You could make them pot holders to match, and so that one is, that's about it on that one. Now I showed you this one time, And, but I didn't show you how to do this either. I'm making a pillow cover. It looks very complicated, but it really isn't. I cut squares for this particular one, 7 by 7, out of the background fabric, 7 by 7. Okay, then all I did was iron it in half, or iron it nice and flat, and sew up the two sides so it looks like this. Okay, so now you got this. And I always keep this so I remember how I did it, because a year from now I might think, I just can't remember how I did it. So anyway, now this is the second step here. Third step, you turn it inside right and you iron it flat. So now you have this. And it looks just like that. Very simple. It's just a 7 by 7. Now you just turn it like this. And it's nothing but a bunch of folding, but it looks so complicated. And the reason I like this project is because you can sit in your chair and work on it. You don't have to. So anyway, you get it nice and even like this. And then you turn it each little corner like this until it looks like this. And then you just kind of tack it so it stays together, and I iron it. So there's a little knot in the back. Doesn't matter because you won't see it. So you go from the 7 by 7, sew it on each side, turn it inside right, and then fold it like this. Once it's like this, you sew all these together. You make a bunch of them. So now I sewed all these squares together. Once you get the squares together, then say if this square is next to this one. Now whatever color I want here, I chose red here, but here's a blue one. See these two? You put it in the middle of that diamond. And while you're just sitting there watching TV or whatever, you just take and fold that over. And you just sew that in, tack it in. See the little sew lines along here? That's all you do. And look how beautiful and complicated it looks. And it's nothing but folding and a little bit of hand sewing. You can easily do that. It looks like you're a great sewer if you do that, and it really doesn't take much. Here's my pillow. I'm gonna put this fabric on the back because I think that's my colors in my house. But so anyway, I'm just going to sew that on. I could either put a zipper in. I don't usually do it. What I do is I tack it a little bit, and if I want to wash it, I can just pull that string out, and it's easier than even putting a zipper in. Or you can take a humongous piece and put a zipper right down the middle, but you don't have to go that much. This is what I really wanted to show you, and it's called the Cathedral Window. I was going to make a quilt out of it, but you'd have to be careful washing it, and besides that, it would drive you crazy to do something that big. This is what I'm working on next, and I've had this fabric so long that it's probably considered a vintage quilt already, and I didn't even get it together yet. Anyway, all I did, very easy, I cut a bunch of strips, any width you want, all these strips. So I had all these colors I liked, and random. Then I just sewed 3 strips together in different colors. I happen to show you with the yellow, but I just sew 3 strips, okay? Then I get these long strips sewed together, and then I start cutting them. Okay, say I I think I did 2.5 inches. So then I measure and I make sure they're all square. I start cutting them on my cutting board like this. So I want to end up with 6 by 6. I kind of always stick with that number because then if I make a different quilt and I have a few squares left over, I can use them up. So I end up with 6 by 6. And then I sew those squares together. On this quilt, I just did 3 this way, 3 that way, 3 this way, 3 that way. And I tried to iron them all the same way so it isn't all lumpy in the back. Now what I'm doing, I have a queen size sheet that I'm going to use for the back. And so I just keep sewing more on here until I have enough to fill that queen size sheet. So, okay, I sewed these together and I didn't have enough. So now I'm going to put a border. So I put a yellow border. Now I still don't have enough because it's still too small for a queen size. So I thought, okay, then I'm going to take the leftover squares I have and I sewed them together. And so now, and I always iron them all the same way so they lay flat. So that'll be my next layer. Okay, then if it isn't still big enough, then I'll put another border until I have the size I want. So you don't really have to start with a pattern, just keep going. And unless you want a certain pattern, you can do that too. But for the most part, you can just keep adding on and use up your fabric. Now I had a little bit of fabric left, so I thought, well, I might as well make matching pillowcases because, and I put a little hem in them. And so now, because your pillowcases kind of wear out quicker than the rest of your sheets, so now I can switch off and have some matching pillowcases. So instead of pillow shams, you don't have to go through that much bother. Okay, well, I think for today, that's about it for the sewing. And I think I'm going to do next time some pruning of the muscadine grapes and the grapes and various other things. So that'll be my next YouTube video. And let's see. I did tell you a couple videos ago that I made this buttermilk apple pie. It's the best pie I've ever had, and I have a recipe here, and I'm going to have my little producer take a picture of it. It's worthwhile making. It's wonderful. And that's the recipe, and I guess that's it for our sewing segment. It's a delicious, very good, almost like a custard pie with a little apple. Okay, well, that's it for today, and I'll see you next time, and we'll do a little pruning. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye-bye.